we will lose support and members because of our position. But at this stage, we want to be as inclusive as possible. While ever it's legal to sell puppies to pet stores, there will be breeders who breed for them, and animal welfare is best served by trying to ensure that these breeders are conscientious and well educated and that stores behave responsibly. Objective 4 is to maintain a voluntary database of owners in order to promote social activities and interaction between owners. This is a key part of the AAPDB website's role. All owners will be recorded and invited to register and engage in the owners' discussion forum. Owners will be encouraged to organise social activities, picnics and competitions, obedience, amicability, agility, even looks. Whatever is valued by a dog owner can be measured using friendly competition amongst owners. These people are the end users, the target market for pet dog breeders and for most purebred dog breeders. Ongoing owner contact is critical in making it possible for breeders to identify who they are breeding for and to develop breeding objectives based on what these people want. Different owners will want different dogs. Some want to compete in flyball and agility, some want a slightly animated hearthrug, some want a beautiful animal of impeccable lineage, and some a shaggy dog from central casting like Sandy or Benji. It's up to the breeder to work out who they are breeding for, and they can only do that if they keep in touch with their owners and use the information their pups can provide. If we were supported by researchers, it would be possible to standardise the information gathered from owners, and this could be then used to contribute to estimated breeding values for desirable behavioural and physical traits. Our fifth objective is to maintain a database of breeders and dogs in order to monitor welfare and promote communication and education between breeders. Members would be monitored to ensure that standards are maintained and would be encouraged to communicate with each other through the members' forum. Ideally, the information gleaned by pet breeders from their owners could be fed back to purebred breeders, providing them with valuable information about the performance of their animals. And perhaps, one day, in that best of all possible worlds, when purebred gene pools are cautiously opened, pet breeders could not only provide information about the performance of dogs, but also genetic material. Infusions of different breeds to correct problems or widen the gene pool could be assessed by pet breeders before moving up the breeding chain to seed stock producers, or even perhaps show breeders. The final objective of the AAPDB is to support research into behaviour and genetic health of pet dogs. My father was a dairy farmer, and he once told me that he thought competing in shows was like stamp collecting. Great fun, and like stamp collecting, very rewarding when animals are sold between fellow enthusiasts, but it has absolutely nothing to do with milk production. Dairy farmers may not understand how EBVs are calculated and weighted, but they know that they work, and these days no dairy farmer would select a bull without looking at his EBVs. The genetic progress that's been achieved through this is remarkable. I hope that the time is finally arriving when dog breeders will realise that there's got to be a better way to breed purebred dogs, that EBVs can be applied to their animals too, and that if something isn't done to reverse the constant loss of genetic diversity within breeds, then many of the rarer breeds will simply become extinct, like the hundreds of inbred lines which die in the production of clones of laboratory mice. The kind of evidence-based research being reported on today needs to get out to breeders. We need to know what the best husbandry systems are, how to select objectively for health and behaviour, how to breed for quality of life, and how to make our owners more responsible. AAPD breeders will be encouraged to involve in research and will be kept informed of new information as it arises. In conclusion, I'd like to discuss the question of whether we should be breeding these dogs at all. Some people feel very strongly that while dogs are dying in shelters, it's immoral to deliberately breed more puppies, particularly crossbred puppies. However, my mother felt very strongly that it was immoral to feed dogs while people in the world were starving. It's possible to understand the logic of these views without agreeing with them. While many people get wonderful dogs from shelters, most of these dogs are young adults, and it's rare that puppies are available at 8 weeks of age. Not all crossbred dogs are the same, and it's unreasonable to insist that somebody wanting to obtain a carefully bred and socialised, healthy crossbred puppy should be obliged to rescue dogs from an animal shelter. The AAPDB will argue that the issue of animals in shelters must be addressed by tighter regulation of the supply of shelter dogs. I agree with the RSPCA that anyone who breeds a puppy, whether they're a show breeder, pet breeder, a family having fun, or irresponsible people who don't get around to desexing their bitch, should be registered as a dog breeder and made aware of the code of practice required for dog breeders and the responsibility dog breeders have for the animals they breed. I don't know the practice in other states, but in New South Wales all dogs are required to be microchipped and registered with the Companion Animal Register. There are differential registration fees for entire and desexed animals. According to the New South Wales Department of Local Government, there has been a 25% decrease in the number of dogs taken to shelters and a 40% reduction in the number of these dogs that have been euthanased since the Companion Animal Act was introduced. Clearly, regulation can be effective. It would seem a relatively simple matter for anyone owning an entire female over 6 months of age to be identified as a breeder, issued a number and advised of their responsibilities. The advertisement of or sale of pet dogs without a breeder number could be banned and the ban enforced, and with time nearly all shelter dogs could then be traced to their breeders, so that breeder responsibility could be enforced. This may sound like Big Brother intruding into our lives, but there is a precedent in livestock breeding. No Australian cattle can legally be sold or even moved from one property to the next without an electronic NLIS tag, which traces the animal from its property of birth throughout its life. Responsible dog breeders would have no reason to fear this sort of regulation. Commercial dog breeding is here to stay. There's a strong pressure to desex pets and regulate random breeding. So increasingly commercial breeders, whether they breed purebreds or crossbreds, will be a major source of pet dogs for Australian families. Unfortunately, the puppy farm label makes it very difficult for professional breeders. Breeding puppies for profit is loudly condemned by the welfare lobby and hobby breeders. Most breeders will go to any lengths to avoid admitting to a profit motive, and even the most conscientious pet breeders, who may have long waiting lists for their pups, will be coy to admit how many dogs they own and how many puppies they breed. But commercial cattle and sheep producers aren't reviled. People don't refer scathingly to calf farmers or lamb farmers, and only the most extreme animal rightists believe that livestock breeders routinely mistreat their animals because of their profit motive. Profit is not incompatible with welfare, and stigmatising pet dog owners, dog breeders, is not in the best interests of breeding dogs, pet dogs or their owners. Until the practices the breeders, the RSPCA describe as puppy farmers, can be regulated out of existence, there needs to be a way of differentiating them from good, responsible pet dog breeders. Otherwise, this stigma will persist, and while it does, the pet dog industry will fail to attract the kind of intelligent, caring, creative dog lovers who should be breeding pet dogs.